Hello, everyone. I'm U.S. Representative Rick Larsen, and from the 2nd Congressional District here in Washington State. And it's a beautiful day in the 2nd Congressional District. I'm in Everett today. The sun's out. There's some clouds, of course, in the sky. But it's a really beautiful sunny day. And I have a special guest, County Executive Satpal Sidhu, Whatcom County. And he tells me it's also sunny and beautiful, albeit it's a kind of a May 1st kind of cold here in the Pacific Northwest, too. But it's a good day in the district. Executive Sidhu, Satpal, thanks for joining me today.
Yes, thank you, Rick. And I very much appreciate having this opportunity to discuss some things with you. And I just want to remind people that our relationship goes very, very long, many years ago. And another thing, I really want to thank you because, you know, like all during the last 14 months, we have regularly and constantly heard from you personally, as well as from your staff. I think that's a great help, because when we are going through uncharted territory, somebody holding hand or just asking, how are you doing? It means a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate hearing that. And we know we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not through the tunnel yet. And so there's still some hand holding and help to do. And I want to turn to you in a moment to hear about what the current state of Whatcom County is. Before we get there, I want to cover a few things with you and with for the folks at home, if you will. Sure. I want to give an update to folks on the American Rescue Plan, which the president signed into law in March. In the meantime, for those who are on, if you have any questions or comments for Satpal or for me that we can answer, please put them in the chat, put them in whatever digital box on whatever platform you're using, and we'll get to it, and we'll try to get to as many questions as possible. But just a reminder, you know, more than a year ago, the COVID pandemic hit, and but even today, with economic numbers improving, there's still a lot of Washingtonians that still need relief. And the American Rescue Plan is designed to get more shots in arms, to put money in people's pockets, to help small businesses stay open or reopen, and to do a variety of other things as well. It included several of my priorities that we've been working on in this office over the last year. But let me just start with shots in arms. The issue I've heard most about is vaccines. And just 3 months ago, on February 1st, roughly 16,200 people in Whatcom County had received at least the first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. But thanks to the American Rescue Plan and the executive actions from the president and the hard work of healthcare professionals like Erica Lautenbach, who's the health director there in Whatcom County, more vaccine shots are getting in arms. And right now, Executive Sidhu, more than 137,000 doses have been administered in Whatcom County to date. Yes. And I recently visited the Bellingham Technical College's vaccine clinic to thank the staff, the volunteers, and the students there in their efforts to vaccinate residents. But like anything else, the public health response is going to lead the economic recovery response. And now everybody 16 and over in Washington State is eligible for a vaccine, and you can find a vaccine appointment by going to vaccinelocator.doh.law.gov. So vaccinelocator.doh.law.gov. The rescue plan was also about putting money in people's pockets, and most eligible Washingtonians should have received the most recent economic impact payment or stimulus check by direct deposit or by mail to help pay for household expenses. 80% of all adults and 77% of all children in the state will receive an EIP, including mixed status households and adult dependents. And the payment builds on the $600 down payment that was in the December pandemic package. So that fulfills a promise of a total relief payment of $2,000. Putting people back to work has been part of this as well. And as Satpal will describe, that state, local, tribal, and territorial governments are really on the front line of the pandemic response. They need resources to pay essential workers, to pay first responders, and all of these folks to continue critical services. And preliminary aid estimates for Whatcom County include $44.46 million for Whatcom County, and in the city of Bellingham, $21 million. And then there obviously Ferndale, Linden, and Blaine, and Nooksack. Gonna name them all. Van Zant, not a town, sorry. Sumas, all will receive their own allocation of money to help. Because we know it's not just about the city of Bellingham. We really need to reach into the smaller communities in Whatcom County. The rescue plan includes a lot of other help as well, including for aerospace workers in the supply chain to keep that supply chain active. So when air travel returns, you know, when you got 1,700 small businesses in our state, all tied to aerospace supply, including many in my district. And I'm not talking about Boeing, I'm talking about those smaller companies that are supplying air travel around the world. We have a bipartisan bill that was included in the American Rescue Plan to support keeping these aerospace supply chain workers on the job and bringing them back so that we have that supply chain in place to support the air travel community and aviation community when that part of the economy starts to return. And we're starting to see that. So there's a long way to go for full recovery still, but help is on the way for Whatcom County and the state. And just before I turn to Executive Sidhu, I want to point out that a reporter pointed out that President Biden used the word jobs 43 times in his joint address to Congress. And creating well-paying jobs will continue to be my focus in Congress. So the president did introduce the American Jobs Plan, which invests in infrastructure investment in our state. And I've called for a bold FDR-like investment in the nation's infrastructure to create well-paying jobs, to drive further economic recovery, and importantly, to help us build a cleaner and greener U.S. transportation system. So we've got work ahead of us on that as well. So with that, I want to thank Executive Sidhu for joining me. And Satpal, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to add to what you just said, that American Rescue Plan is really unique, because last time the experience we had with CARES Act was the money was very welcome and very much needed, and especially to respond to the COVID response, like the unified command and emergency PPE and testing and everything. But we had very little time to plan. I mean, the money came in and then there was a time limit. And then we were supposed to report back everything by December. And that was quite a scrambling. But one good thing about this plan is that we have a window of time till sometime in 2024 that really allows us to do a better planning and allocate monies where we will get the best impact of this funding. And the other part is that the jobs, I think that is something really, two major things which are on our mind in our county is affordable housing and economic development. I think we have Cherry Point area, which only larger industries have been, and we have been working on that to create a couple of 100-acre industrial park, because the lack is there is no ready to build land, industrial land available. And I think that we can use part of these funds, augment with our economic development, EDI funds and other funds the county has, to augment that and create a ready to build industrial places where companies with 50, 100 employees can come and build a 50,000, 100,000 square feet building and bring jobs with us. So that is, we feel that this would really help. I mean, in addition to that, you know, the food banks, like what we have been able to do in the past, this could be help. And broadband, I know as federal government is put this in front. That's another thing that we would like to invest some money in that infrastructure. So we're really looking forward to, and your announcement about the restaurants, I think this is very, very critical. This industry, the hospitality industry is really been hurt. And our Whatcom Tourism has already passed a tax on themselves per room charge to do more advertisement as well promotion. And this restaurant revitalization fund would be very helpful. And we have received almost over $16 million already in rental assistance directly from the Treasury, and we are partnering with the Opportunity Council, and we have already started providing that assistance, and we are trying to be very proactive with that. So this has been a great help to us.
That's great. Now let me just stop you there for a moment, because we do these public service announcements, and you mentioned that two important issues. I just want to go with the first one and remind folks that as part of the American Rescue Plan, we included the Restaurant Revitalization Fund with the SBA, and the portal for that fund opens on Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Which is great. I remember which means it opens at, I think, well, hopefully it opens at noon. And I'm looking at my staff, noon on East Coast time. Because the last time they did this during the CARES Act, they opened these portals. They opened them like at 9 a.m. East Coast and then 9 a.m. West Coast. So like the East Coast folks got a 3-hour head start on it. And I called the Treasury and said, that's ridiculous. It should be open at the same time for everybody. Remember, we have a big country with several time zones. Not everything is focused on the east side of the country. So hopefully that was fixed. But so the Restaurant Revitalization Fund opens on Monday, the 3rd at 9 a.m. Provides emergency assistance for eligible restaurants and bars and other qualifying businesses impacted by COVID-19. And I've got the info back here, sba.gov/restaurants. So if you own one, you're watching, you own one, you have a friend who owns one, they want to look at this, this is more tailored to restaurants. I will know, and I want to ask you about this. I also was able to visit some restaurants in Whatcom County recently that received Paycheck Protection Program money, PPP money. But you were all at Whatcom County able to do some things with CARES Act money specifically to help some small businesses, including restaurants and childcare providers. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and then kind of maybe what's next?
I think that sometimes, the crisis does good things as well. So one of the things that happened with COVID and CARES Act dollars, because county got the largest amount of money, $16+ million, and the rest of the Bellingham got only $4 million, and the rest cities got only a few $100,000. But we actually pooled our dollars. We with all 7 cities and county, we created a mayor's council. And we said, let's pool our money and let's define what are the most important things we can do for our community. And then we will approve those things, and then we will spend the money. I think this was a great cooperation where, this is a fact that most of the small cities are Republican mayors, and our county is like half and half.
We represent everybody.
We represent everybody, exactly. And that's the message I think I brought in, that, even we got more money, I would rather put this money in hands of this group rather than saying, okay, county will direct every decision. And I think that was very welcome. And we've been able to do really amazing things with that money. And we spent over $5 million for 460 or 470 businesses who got up to $15,000 grants. And in addition to what they got from federal government and state government. So that was very, very effective. And that's people great. Felt that they are being looked after.
Good. And you were very, I think you were on the forefront of helping out child care providers. Of 39 counties in the state, you might have been the first county to step up and help on child care.
Yes, and we were able to do, I think, almost over $2 million, and we knew that the parents are home and other parents have to work and schools are closed. what do you do? And childcare became really, really critical for our county also to keep providing the level of service, and for the companies and businesses to keep the doors open. And we thought that was the very much needed service. So we got together with all the childcare providers and asked them, what do you need as operational, so that they don't feel that they need to close their doors. And we were able to run the whole childcare, all the seats, positions open throughout the pandemic, and provided other help, PPE and other things we could do for them.
In the American Rescue Plan, we did a much better job in supporting the tribal governments. I think Congress kind of messed up the language in the CARES Act, and as a result, delayed the dollars getting to tribal governments. But I think we fixed that as part of the American Rescue Plan. Can you talk a little bit about, so you have Nooksack tribe and the Lummi tribe that you share in Whatcom County. You share together governing there in the important government-to-government relationship. Can you talk a little bit what Whatcom County as a government is doing to work with the separate tribal governments?
Oh, definitely. We have a very good cooperation network going on. And people remember that just a few weeks ago, Lummi Nation shared there, because they had a separate quota of vaccines when the vaccine was very much in demand, and they had a extra allocation for a couple of weeks. And they offered the whole Ferndale School District, all the employees, all the students, teachers, anybody, and they vaccinated all. Actually, as of today, they are having another camp today, and they are offering anybody, adult, and in essential services or anything, they offer that. The WTA, they offered all the employees, they vaccinated all the employees for us. And another thing I wanted to add on American Rescue Plan, I was sitting and calculating, we are getting almost $150 million into Whatcom County. It's not that $45 million we are getting and city is getting 20, but if you look at the money coming to Whatcom County through the tribes and through the child care, broadband, and school districts. I mean, if you start combining all the total investment, I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, a generational thing to get this kind of extra investment opportunity in different services. So we are very excited, and we are already starting to talk with the mayors that we should repeat what we did before and bring out all the areas where we need to make those investments.
Yeah. Well, when you spoke, something, a metaphor struck me is that over the last year, we've been kind of running to stand still, sort of to keep up with the pandemic, to keep up with COVID, and then now to keep up with testing, and then to keep up with vaccines. Yeah. But you then taught, which, Whatcom County, every county was like that, frankly, every line of government. But now you're actually talking about, okay, the American Rescue Plan dollars are coming. We have an opportunity to think a little bit longer term about what can we do for longer term economic recovery.
Yes.
I'd also know, in talking with your health department folks, they were ready to stand still, and they're gonna take a look back, say what could we have done better? What don't we ever want to do again? Yes. And how does that inform creating a even better health plan for your community as well? Can you talk a little bit about how you're looking to the future?
Yeah, I think that like I mentioned a little bit before, that affordable housing. Now, that's the subject which is long. It takes to start a project and develop to the construction stage. It takes 2-3 years. It's not something that you can do it in 6 months. And I think we have already started our efforts I already had one meeting with all the developers and landowners that to create a component. We are asking people that maybe 10-15% of any new development you're coming up, that you should allocate to affordable housing. We are talking about that it should be inclusionary zoning, not that this is only for this and we will create another place which is only for low income housing. If we sprinkle it around, then there is no stigma. And I think people have liked that approach. and city mayors also. So we are working from that angle, and like economic development. There are so many companies, even because of COVID and border being closed, we have so many inquiries from Canadian companies because their land situation is even worse than what we have, and housing prices are even worse than what we have. And we have a lot of inquiries from them who would like to come and locate here and bring jobs with them. And that's why I mentioned about Cherry Point development and other industrial development. So we are already talking to developers and see how we can make investments. And one more thing we have been able to do, the county council unanimously passed a 1590. This is a state that we can take 1%, 0.1% of sales tax without going on the ballot. And council passed that resolution, and both city of Bellingham also did. So we will be getting about $5 million in addition to what we get from rescue plan, which will mix with that and make investments. Jobs. I think the construction creates jobs, housing creates jobs, and economic development creates jobs, like you said. So we really are tuning ourselves to create more jobs.
And on that point, in terms of jobs, but also affordable housing, this Monday again at 8 a.m. Pacific time, the Whatcom Rental Assistance Program, I guess that you guys call that the WRAP, perhaps, WARP, will be available again to Whatcom County residents. So you can call the rental assistance line and leave a voicemail for a call back. I'm going to give you that number very slowly, folks. 360, that's the easy one. Then 746-3826. 746-3826. Or you can submit an application, here we go, at opco.org/Whatcom Rental Assistance. And if you can see that, this is really weird doing this backwards here. There you go.
You're doing a good job.
Oppo. Is it Oppo or Oppo?
Oppo, that's Opportunity Council.
That is the Opportunity Council. I'm sorry, my notes say OPPCO, but this is OPPOCO. So,
this
is correct, right? Oppo.
I think
Whatcom Rental Assistance. So that's Monday morning at 8 a.m. for the application portal. And that money comes from that rescue plan money that helps support that?
It comes from that, and people can just Google Opportunity Council, rental assistance or something. I think they have pretty good plan, and they've been planning for a while. The other thing, because of the time, I want to touch on the border communities. We are a border county, and we all know it because of
what? Yeah, what? Whatcom's on the border? What? Of Skagit County, right? You're on the border of Skagit County?
Yeah. I think the closure of Canadian border has been is adversely impacted. If you look at Blaine, half of their economy of Blaine, especially, is dependent on the Canadian, and it's a social impact as well. There are a lot of families who are on both sides of the border, and some of the essential workers have been able to come, like St. Joe's Hospital. There are a lot of doctors, nurses, other experts. They live in Canada. They come to work here, and there were some Americans who go to work in Canada. So, but in general, the impact on our social economic life has been very impactful, and we are hoping that we are working with Blaine, Sumas, and Linden to see how we can help, extra help. That brings the question of Point Roberts, and that has been national news. And I like what it takes a crisis for people to know that there exists a Point Roberts, which is not connected to United States in this part of the world. And I commend those people as well to persevere through that. And we commend you for all the actions you have been taking, talking to Canadian ambassador, writing to Canadian premier, as well as to President and our Speaker Pelosi to keep the pressure on to do something. I think the conditions are such that it's not possible yet, but we appreciate your support and help in working on those things.
Well, I understand how difficult it is. I don't represent Point Roberts now. I did during the 2000s. I have a full understanding of the nature of Point Roberts. In fact, after 9/11, I went out to Point Roberts and rode the school bus into Blaine one morning with those kids on the school bus to live their experience a little bit. Back when after 9/11, when border crossings were closed as well. I've raised these unique concerns both with the U.S. Consul General Brent Hart in Vancouver, who's our person, and then Canadian Consul General Brandon Lee, who's a Canadian person in Seattle, the Consul General there. We've written to ambassadors, ambassador to Canada, talked to, as you noted, the House leadership, trying to keep these issues on the radar so they get resolved sooner when things start to loosen up a little bit. But this does bring up an issue, Satpal, that came through on Facebook. What are your thoughts on the potential rollback in Whatcom County to phase 2? And this is related to the border. The likelihood of the border opening is directly related to advancing on COVID-19 with vaccines and with bringing hospitalizations and cases down. But if we're reverting to phase 2, that means we're headed the wrong direction. What can you tell us about phase 2? Phase 3?
I think we had a little bit of setback in last 2 weeks. Before that, we were doing really well. On the hospitalization, we had like 9 or 10 people in the ICU hospitalizations. But before that, we were doing well. So we still staying in phase 3 for next 2 weeks or 3 weeks as of our current record. And that's why I want to appeal and request and on my knees to everybody who hasn't gotten the vaccine yet, that please do, because remember, it started with few people traveling to Seattle from outside who brought this pandemic virus to us. And that same thing, if within our community, if we have 10-15% of the people who are not vaccinated, they stay as the carriers, we still have that risk of sliding back. So I think our thing is following the protocols, doing the mask, washing hands, keeping the social distance, and getting vaccine. I think all this will help us open our schools, open our businesses as soon as possible, and hopefully open the border as soon as possible, because that's what we really need.
Yeah, I think what you just said about all the steps take are important, including getting vaccinated. Now, there's some folks who are reluctant. Some folks maybe is like, oh, it's just a hassle. They're not reluctant, as opposed to just like, oh, I can't do this. It just, please, we are pleading with the public to get vaccinated. If you want to call my office and complain about the economy in Whatcom County and the border, I'm going to ask you, have you been vaccinated?
Yeah.
Your role in this is to get vaccinated.
Yes.
And I just don't know how to put it. I want to be nice, but people, if you're reluctant for a health reason, look, you should talk to your doctor, talk to a nurse, talk to folks about that. If you're just not getting around to it, it's time to get around to it, because there are appointments available now, which is great news. We have 3 vaccines, and I'll just note on the J&J, on the Johnson & Johnson, that was shut down for about a week or so. We did some research. You're 5 times more likely to die after being struck by lightning than develop a blood clot from a vaccine.
Yeah.
So I want to ban people getting struck by lightning.
Yeah.
So we can get rid of that excuse. Just go get vaccinated. By lightning.
Definitely. I want to reiterate that getting vaccine is very important, and for opening our schools, our communities, and getting over and the help. We already have a few hundred several hundred actually vaccine appointments available. And we are actually preparing now a couple of vans who will be mobile units, and they can go into different communities and do vaccination. It's already in the works. I think within a couple of weeks, we'll have that operational as well.
So you have a, Whatcom County is a great agriculture community as well, and there's an ag worker community there.
Yeah.
Are you, is the county either coordinating, or is another health group coordinating, getting outreach to the ag worker community to be able to get vaccinated? Because equity in vaccinations is very important.
It's very important, and we are going to reach to the minority communities and special populations. That's why we thought that let's prepare a couple of vans so that you can go and maybe vaccinate 50, 100 people at a time, and in the farming area. So far we have a good cooperation from them, but we need more. Yeah.
You know, Washington State University announced that you have to be vaccinated to go to attend classes this fall. Not to put, you don't speak for Western Washington University, but do you know what Western Washington University has announced?
I think they are thinking of that. They have not announced it, but I had a meeting with the president Randhawa not too long ago, and he said that this is one of the proposal on the table for them to discuss and inform all the new students in fall that you must be vaccinated. And we will provide that assistance. We said that if you need us to start a camp there or come for certain days and put up a clinic at the university or residences or something, we will be more than happy to do that. And another thing is, this is great that we have now supply is more than demand, and which is a great thing. And we need to kind of continue on that.
Do you have any famous people in Whatcom County other than yourself that could go to these mass vaccination sites and attract people, like, to sign an autograph if they get vaccinated? I'm just, I'll do anything.
I haven't thought of that, but we can do that.
Anybody. If you know anybody famous in Whatcom County, let us know.
We can bring some Dutch dancers or something from Linden.
I'll do anything. I will dance with Dutch dancers.
Yeah.
In Linden.
Anything.
Help people in Linden.
Yeah, I'll bring a Bhangra team from Punjabis.
Okay. You tell me what I need to do. I'm not saying I'm famous, but I think a lot of my constituents would like to see me embarrass myself.
Yeah.
But the price of that is that you have to be vaccinated. That's what I would say.
Yes, and we are serious about that, and we are saying that please tell us which way you would like. We will try to create programs like that, which are more convenient and reachable. And I would really entertain any suggestions from anybody. Reach to my office, email me, call me, and say that something like that can work. Or if you can put a group together of 25, 50 people, we can reach out and set a date and come and vaccinate people. We are willing to do anything possible to do that.
Yeah, that's really great. So what's just quickly, we're a little over, but we can go a few more minutes. I mentioned the American Jobs Plan, the infrastructure bill we're working on in Congress. Roads, bridges, highways, and transit, bridge safety, broadband deployment, all very, very critical. And we want to make it so that we end up on the back end of this with a cleaner and greener transportation system. So there's a lot of things to focus on in order to ensure that there's an infrastructure investment that gets us to a point where we're using that investment to fight climate change.
Yeah.
I'm looking at electric buses, electric transit, Whatcom Transit Agency is doing that, Everett Transit here in Snohomish County is doing that. So we're looking at expanding the grant dollars for electric transit. We have the largest ferry system in the country, measured by people and by vehicles.
Yeah.
We're looking at helping the state to electrify not just the ferries, but also build the shoreside infrastructure to support that. I've talked to my electrical worker friends who are in the IBEW union, my dad's old union. they are ready, willing, and able to help with electrification. They say the biggest hurdle is the number of people in the workforce that you need to do that, to achieve those goals. And so I'm visiting with them next week to talk about what we need to do to expand registered apprenticeships, especially in electrical, so that we have that workforce to meet that goal that everybody wants us to get to in terms of expanding electrification. So, that's part of something I'm working on as well. There's a lot of moving parts to achieve these goals that help fight climate change. Those are a few of the things that I'm doing, and I know others will have other things they're doing. Taken collectively, we're going to get to that FDR-like investment to really turn the corner. That's my commercial, but some things on your mind?
One thing I want to share with you and all the listeners as well, that I was in another meeting with the state on broadband, and somebody said, look, 100 years ago in 20s and 30s, we made a rural electrification commission or council. Yep. And we had every home, every farm, wherever, we got them electricity on the poles. He said, why can't we hang a wire on the same poles and get them broadband? I think that's quite an example that we can have broadband in every home, especially in rural areas. The urban areas, I think private companies are taking care of it, but in the rural areas. And the other thing is we may need a third lane on I-5. I think we're really looking forward to the infrastructure bill because the Canadian traffic and truck traffic coming. I think that this is getting more and more congested, running I-5 running through this. Of course, you know about our Lummi Island Ferry project, and we need to replace the building for our current jail. That building is so dilapidated and old. We don't want to build a new jail. We just want to build a new building for the current jail. So these are some of the things we are looking at in future with the new infrastructure package.
Well, there's a lot of infrastructure opportunity, and a lot of that will be locally defined and locally driven in terms of what you want to do, and then where I can step in and my colleague Susan Delbene and their senators can step in and support those local visions. On broadband, the state has a broadband office within the State Department of Commerce. I met with the head of that a few days ago on a Zoom to talk about what we can do. And one thing I'll just pass on, they're asking folks it's self-reporting, but on the state broadband office website, they're asking people, what is your actual upload and download speed? Because the Federal Communications Commission has this fantasy idea of what it ought to be and what they think exists, and it does not reflect reality on the ground. Getting a real picture of what uploads and download speeds are in our communities, including in Whatcom County, can help us at the federal level better tailor for the state what it for the dollars it needs in order to address your broadband concerns. Because we need it to close the digital divide on education, the digital divide on healthcare access, especially mental health care access, the digital divide on economic opportunity. Broadband really is that important, and you have my support.
Even like global competition for for us to be most efficient population, competing with China, competing with other countries. I think broadband is a big factor for commerce and education, everything else, and COVID actually proved that how essential this is.
Absolutely. Executive Sidhu, do you have any final comments?
Yes, I do have a couple of final comments. One thing is, once again, we really appreciate that your constant touch and touching and calling up. Hey, what's going on? You need any help? I think that is a great help and reassurance to us here that our representative is really representing us as well as concerned about us. And a few of the projects we have, Lummi Island ferry replacement, because 2020 in 29 we will run out the life of that vessel. So we are working in different ways, and we appreciate this kind of interaction. And please let us know if we can help you in any way from our community, and we stand ready to help you. Thank you very much.
Oh, sure. I can name a lot of projects we're working on and have insight into your Marine Resources Commission folks and their efforts to support the environment in the North Puget Sound and Salish Sea. The Whatcom ferry projects on our radar as well, and there may be some models, local models out there that like in Skagit County that can be a model for the Whatcom ferry replacement. I think I'm visiting the Bellingham Airport next week as well in my role as the chair of the Aviation Subcommittee. Important economic development factor as well. And and it's May, and berry season is starting soon, and there in Whatcom County, and I hope that we can people can get vaccinated so you can feel comfortable going and visiting your local UPICs and supporting the egg community in Whatcom as well. A lot going on up there, Satpal, and it's really great to have you there leading Whatcom County government and bringing people together as well. I did just one vignette for folks. We were visiting testing sites, and we went to the Linden testing site at the Northwest Washington Fairgrounds. Yeah. And Mayor Cordice.
Yeah, Cordice.
There. Yeah, Scott was there. You were there. And we were talking about how great it was to have the test site in Linden, and you were like immediately. I was like, not everything needs to be in Bellingham. This is a big county, and we need to reach out. To a lot of places, and so. You've done a great job of reaching out in a lot of places throughout the county. Whatever we can do to support you, continue to support your team in that, let us know.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for joining me today. And everyone, continue to follow us on social media pages for updates on the American Rescue Plan. If you need any assistance from my office, we're at 425-252-3188, or you can go to Rick Larsen just with an EN, and I'll come up on that as well. If you know someone who's unable to watch today's Facebook Live, a recording of this will be posted on my social media pages, and please, you can share those with folks. So thank you all for joining. Thanks, County Executive Satpal Sidhu, Whatcom County. I look forward to, I won't speak to the executive, I look forward to in-person town halls and community coffees when it is safe to do so. So we will see you out there. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much.